I could have your attention here in the deadline room, we are now joined by today's fifth place finisher in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series STP 500 here in Martinsville Speedway, and that is none other than Austin Dillon, driver of the number 3 Okuma Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. Austin, you had an incredible run going out there, ran as high as third, and had that number 3 Chevrolet up in contention all day. Walk us through your run and what made you so successful today.
Well, first off, we got to thank the guys. They had a really fast race car, and we didn't panic. We didn't have the speed the first couple practices, which for some reason I never do here. It's just a trend. I can't go fast enough to start, and then we consistently get better throughout practice and the race, and it's nice to do that, but I wish I could not give the field half a race before we get up through there. So starting 20th was big for us because our last practice was good. Our car had takeoff speed the whole day. It's the first race car we've had that can actually restart and go for the first 5 laps, and that's a lot of fun. And we've got to focus on that. I think the way the new racing is with the stages and stuff, short run speed is key, and if you have a long run speed fall off, it really doesn't matter because you're going to need a caution at some point. But I'm just proud of the guys. We finished 4th here last year, and to come back and back it up with a 5th, it's one of my favorite tracks. And really, at one point, I thought we were going to have a little something for the 2 leaders, but middle of the run, our car just lacked a little bit more turn and forward drive, and then at the end, we could come back to them again. I think I was running the 22 back down kind of at the end, but just proud of my guys and thankful for this run. We needed it.
Okay, we're going to start up front with Mike and then to Nate, and then we'll go upstairs to the press box.
Mike Hembry, USA Today. Austin, today was sort of a pretty good endorsement of the stage racing. Were you surprised at how those first couple of stages ended?
No, I wasn't surprised. I mean, I was on the edge of the first stage. I was running 7th, and it got wild there at the end, and tried to block the outside and ended up being 9th. And I was just thankful to get a point in that stage, but it definitely got wild at the end, and that's what we're creating, and I like that. I mean, it's fun, and as long as you're not in the guy that's getting wrecked or turned or any of that, my day was good.
Go to Nate.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Austin, first top 10 of the year, and I know obviously Newman got the win at Phoenix. He finishes in the top 10 as well today. Does it feel good for you just to kind of like reaffirm that there's a resurgence going on for RCR?
Yeah, top 5 too. That's even better. No, it's really key, and that we do stuff like this, and short tracks have been a lot better for us the last year, and this year it was good to come back and repeat that. We still got work to do, but it's huge to see RCR running better and having cars capable of running with guys like this, and it's just fun to see his back bumper most of the time.
Okay, we're going to go upstairs to the press box for a question.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com. Austin, near halfway, Slugger Lab became on the radio and told you to get aggressive and be aggressive. How aggressive did you have to be to get in the top 5?
Well, it kind of came to us. I mean, the car allowed me to be good on restarts, and I think that's almost better than having to be aggressive. If your car's good at points and turns, and that makes it a lot easier. Strategy worked out where we stayed out on tires and never came and lost track position, and our car was good enough to hold on the long run. So it just worked out for us. We got spun early in the race, and it was one of those deals where the 77, I was inside, and he came down, and it was like half. I needed to go in harder and probably move him up or give him it, and it caused the big kind of crash there and jumbled up a bunch of guys. But it's hard there. I weaved left, and he just kept coming left, so I hit him, and then Denny hit me, and whoever hit Denny kind of shoved and ruined their days. Didn't want that to happen to those guys.
Okay, before we go to our next question, we are now joined by today's runner-up in the STP 500, and that is none other than Kyle Busch, driver of the number 18 M&M's Toyota Camry for Joe Gibbs Racing. The intensity, Kyle, was there from start to finish here at Martinsville. I know you came up on the short end of the stick, but please walk us through that battle there with the 2-car in the closing laps from your perspective.
I was just grasping for straws. He was way better than we were at that time. Just wasn't the same. Our car definitely changed there for the last run of the race, and we just didn't have what we needed in order to have the speed that we had all the rest of the day. We were able to drive away from the field. We led a lot of laps. We really had no contention there from a lot of people just past halfway the rest of the way to the end, and then you put a set of tires on and you lose 3/10. So That was pretty shameful, but we come home P2, so that's all we had. Any further questions for Austin Dillon? Let's let him get out of here and go home.
Go next to
How about
Jacob,
that?
and Jacob has one.
I've actually got one for both of you, but I'll start with Austin since Kyle suggested it. I know you talked earlier about the resurgence for RCR, but today in general, it started kind of crazy and it ended different than we all expected. Were you surprised that this race went as long as it did to the finish after 14, 16 cautions earlier in the day to go that long green to the end?
Not really. I mean, it finally just calmed down. There was enough wrecks for people finally were like, let's get some laps in our belt, I think, and didn't get banged around. But it's just, it's Martinsville. It's streaky like that, and I bet if you look at the history, there's a lot of stuff that goes up and down, and the race kind of plays out that way. You never know how it's going to end.
And for Kyle, it seems like you and Brad can't get away from each other, whether it's Xfinity, Cup. You guys have been racing around each other, been fast the same weekends. For you as a driver, when you have somebody like that just, pressures you, beats you sometimes, but is always right there, does it, how much does it push you to be better as a driver when you've got somebody like Brad that challenges you week in and week out?
I wouldn't have had to worry about him if I had the right tires on the car. So, it's just a fact of matter of when you have guys that are good and you got guys that have fast cars, you're going to be together. So, Chase Elliott's been up front a lot this year, and Larson and myself, Brad, some others as well. So when you have guys that are capable of running up front each and every week, then it's going to get congested sometimes at the front. And today, Brad ran a good race. I don't know if he knew he was better than me. He probably should have known for as bad as I was struggling in the middle of the corner, and he just bided his time and waited for my stuff to finally heat up too much, and he got by me. So I was giving it all I had, grasping for straws, just seeing if I couldn't hold him off, but I knew it was just time would tell.
Okay, Austin, we'll go ahead and let you go.
Thanks, guys.
I know we've got additional questions. We'll go up here to the front to Jeff and then to Bob.
JeffGluck.com for Kyle. A lot of people are going to be talking about the Stenhouse moment at the end of stage 2 where he bumped you out of the way, resulting in Chase's win. He said after the race that he had to do that because he wanted to stay on the lead lap, and that was his only option. He knew the caution was coming up. Is that fair game in that situation?
It is if you expect it back. So I actually was rolling into turn 3 and was kind of going higher out of my way in order to let the 17 back by and give him the lap. That was my intent, and then he just drove through me. So it cost me my spot to the 24. So I was hoping that I could run off the corner side by side with the 17 and keep the 24 at bay and just keep my nose in front of his and be able to score the segment, And I was trying to be a nice guy, but nice guys don't finish first.
Before we go to Bob, we are now joined by today's third-place finisher, Chase Elliott, driver of the number 24 Sun Energy 1 Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. Intense race out there today, Chase. You got a stage win there at stage 2, a lot of hard racing going on. Hey, could you walk us through that stage win and your overall finish?
I mean, yeah, as Kyle was talking about, kind of had that one handed to us. But, for me, at this place, I was way much improved than I've ever been here in the past, which I thought was great. And, this is such an important race, especially when you come back here in the fall. It's not a place that you can just get by with running bad and life, expect to just go on in the playoffs if you're a part of it. So I was really proud of our improvements this weekend. I hope that it wasn't just a fluke deal and we didn't just get lucky today and run good. I really hope that we've found something, or I have found something at this track that will end some more consistent, finishes that are further towards the front.
Okay, we'll go next to Bob.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Kyle, did the end of that stage change kind of the way you would race the people that you were trying to lap at that point?
I mean, they were doing everything they could in order to stay on the lead lap, but, when you got the leader to your outside and you just keep banging him off the corner, I mean, that's pretty disrespectful, but do whatever you want, It's going to come back and bite you one of these days, so you just got to always remember, race car drivers are like elephants. They remember everything.
Additional question for these gentlemen? Please raise your hand. We'll get the wireless mic to you. Go next to Nate.
Every time they see a mouse, man, they remember.
Not to harp on the end of stage 2, but that's a playoff point. Is that something that could come back to haunt you?
Yep. Yeah. Especially because we don't win races in the chase. So definitely. You know, that was a point that we were looking to score and try to achieve, and we lost it. So it's just like the rest of this year too. We've just thrown away points if points matter, week in and week out. So we just got to somehow get our luck better. I don't know what it is that just keeps knocking us back, that we don't have the things kind of go our way, but they just haven't been going our way. So we just got to keep plugging along until they do.
Next to Jacob.
Jacob Seelman, Performance Motorsports Network for Chase. Yesterday when you were in here, you told us that you really didn't think a lot of what happened yesterday would apply to today, and yet here you sit again with a playoff point and a really solid run. I mean, what do you take for future Martinsville races away from what you did today, and what did you guys find throughout the day that ultimately got you back to third? Because I know there was one stint there in the middle where you guys were struggling pretty good.
Yeah, we started the race, and for whatever reason, my car would not turn it off for the first 3 or 4 laps, and I about knocked whoever was on the outside of me back to Charlotte a couple times. I felt like on accident, and I thought we were going to drop like a rock. And fortunately, I don't know if it was just being on the splitter or whatever it was, but after that, our car kind of came to life and started turning pretty good. And from there, it drove pretty similar throughout the entire day. So, like I said, I hope it's a consistent trend that we can continue to run decent here. Obviously, I'd love to kind of take that next step and try to contend for a win, but from where I've been here in the past, I mean, night and day. So I was really happy and proud of that.
Gentlemen, thanks for joining us today. Good luck next week in Texas. If I can have your attention here in the media center, we will continue on with today's Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series post-race media availability for the STP 500. And we are joined by today's race-winning crew chief, Paul Wolfe, and winning team owner, Roger Penske. We'll start with you, Paul. That 2-car has found victory lane before with a different driver, but now having Brad Keselowski behind the wheel in victory lane, it has to be something sweet for you and the team.
Yeah, absolutely. This is such a neat racetrack, and we've worked so hard here the last few years. We've been so close, contended, but haven't been able to break through. And gosh, the guys back at the shop continue every time we come here to build a little better race car, and we've worked really hard on this. And what a relief to finally be able to get that first one here in over 10 years. And I don't know, I think at the drivers meeting today, it was like this is the 70th anniversary or something for the Speedway. So special day, and Brad just drove a great race. There was a little mistake early with speeding on pit road, but after that, he passed a lot of race cars. We had good pit stops and just executed all day. Thought our strategy was pretty good, and at the end of the race, I was waiting for that caution to fall, and what were we going to do then? It was tough today. The tire that Goodyear brought seemed to hold on more than what we're accustomed to here at Martinsville, so it made those decisions on whether to pit for tires not a little tougher today, and definitely a tough race to win, like I said, and proud of the effort.
Roger, when Joey Logano was in here the other day, he said that the team knew full well about the winless streak for Ford Performance here at Martinsville Speedway. How sweet is it for you to be able to deliver that victory for Ford?
Well, I think they said the last time they won was in 2002, and our last win was with Rusty Wallace in 2004. And I think this was our 1,000th start in NASCAR. So when you put all that together, it's a great day, and certainly the duel between the 18 and the 2 was clean. It was good racing, and I think it was a real credit to Paul for adjusting the cars. The track changed and picked up rubber, and obviously the temperatures went down. Those were things you had to take into consideration. And I didn't see. I sat up near the top and watched it. I didn't see Brad make a mistake all day. So it was a flawless effort, and certainly the speeding on pit lane. I wonder why we seem to be the king of that too. We have to figure that out, but. Overall, it was something that you can dream of.
Okay, we'll open the floor for questions. We'll start with Bob, and then we'll go to Jacob.
Bob Pockers, ESPN. Roger, you credited Paul with making adjustments. Obviously, you made a choice this week to appeal, and Paul's here. Do you win this race if Paul isn't here?
Listen, I don't know about that. That's a great question. Look, I need him on that box every weekend. I told him I pay him to be on that box every weekend, not to be sitting in his motorhome looking at a bunch of monitors. But I think the fact that that we were able to, really the strategy was that we take a race off last week and then make the appeal, and I guess we'll be coming back here in a week or so. So it's good to get the experience here on this track, obviously, because we'll be in the chase.
Well, at first I'd like to say, that we have a great group of guys, and a lot of support back at the shop. And when something does happen like did at Phoenix, it allows us to still be competitive. You saw how we ran last week at Fontana and overcame the adversity there. But it's tough. It's tough when you're not there. You try to communicate the best with the guys, and but there's that little bit that you miss when you're just not sitting on the box and being able to communicate with Brad during the race. So yeah, it's tough not being there, and that's part of why that's the penalty they hand down, because they know it is. And but just proud of the effort today. Like I said, it was a good way to come back after not being on the box last week.
Okay, we're gonna go to Jacob, then to Nate, then upstairs to the press box.
Jacob Dillon, Performance Motorsports Network for Roger. This is a special place. I mean, we talk about all the success that you've had over all facets of motorsports over the years, the Indy 500s and everything you've done. But knowing that this was the 1,000th race for you at NASCAR's premier level, and to come here to a track where traditionally you guys admittedly haven't had a ton of success, especially recently, to win the clock, which is one of the most famous trophies in NASCAR, does that add a little bit of a special moment to this and make, put that up there with some of the big moments in your racing career?
Well, I think when you think about, this track and places like Darlington and North Wilkes-Barre, these are the tracks that formed the foundation of NASCAR for so many years. And, watching Richard run here and Darrell Waltrip, and, certainly when you think about the 21 car, so it's pretty special to think that we could, get in victory lane. We've been close, but never were able to really close the deal. But certainly a great thing for us, and especially with our 1,000th win.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. I guess for either of you guys, it seemed like until, I guess, what was it, Tuesday or Wednesday, that there was a chance Paul wouldn't be here. What was the thought process in deciding that you would appeal the Phoenix penalty after Paul missed Fontana?
Well, you get the, the call that you failed the certain metric, on the car, and we wanted to get the car back and look at it ourselves. And, we put, data together, and I think that, there's a procedure which we were able to go through, and we huddled and decided that, we think it's going to be better for everybody. We can state our case, and maybe, overall they'll change some rules so we won't have, maybe we'll have a level playing field, because, during, that process, we think about people that won races last year that were able to run across the plate twice or three times. We weren't allowed to do that at all. One time and you're out. So I think that the consistency is really important to me from an officiating perspective. So we'll have a chance to go and talk about our side of the story. It might not be, we might get nothing, but I think at least we can maybe make the sport better.
Was it partially then the timing, Roger, West Coast race, Fontana, that you guys didn't have a chance to
well,
study?
and it was so close, and we said, look, until we get a chance to study this thing, Paul said, you can take off, from California, and then we would decide whether we'd appeal it. So we appealed it, and then I think we'll have our hearing here in a couple of weeks, which is fine.
Okay, we're going to go next to the press box and then downstairs to Andy.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Paul, Brad said over the last 3 or 4 years that you all have really put a lot into the evolution of the Martinsville car, because he had been so, I guess it wasn't his best track in the past. I was wondering, was there specific areas that you looked at to improve your program?
Well, I think it's everything, really. We've done a lot just in our car setup. When you talk about shocks and springs and things that we can change at the racetrack. And then overall as a company, when we build our cars from the chassis, the body, the whole process, the engine shop, it's everyone really putting a focus on it and trying to make their area a little bit better. And that's kind of what we've done every time we've come here over the past 2 years. We feel like we've brought a little better race car every time, and that's what it takes. And we've been able to put ourselves in position, I guess, the last 3 or 4 times saying we had a car fast enough to win the race, and we felt like if we just continued to run top fives and put the pressure on that, hopefully we'd get our opportunity here, and today it was.
And for Roger, what did you think it meant to Edsel after not having a Ford in victory lane here since 2002? What kind of a bump it was for them, because Ford performance seems to have really picked up its game over the last couple of years?
Well, I think the commitment that Ford Performance has made is a byproduct of Edsel's, commitment to the program, and bringing on Stuart Haas, and the partnership that we have with the 21, which is obviously supported, with Ford. I think that it was terrific, and have him here, driving the pace car. You couldn't plan anything any better. So, for me, delivering for Ford, was special, and to see the cars and how competitive we've been here since the beginning of the season, makes us feel good about, the next several weeks. But as we all know, win early is great, but you got to win late.
Okay, before we continue on with the questioning here, we are now joined by today's race winner, Brad Keselowski, driver of the number 2 Miller Lite Ford for Team Penske. Brad, this is your second win in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series this season, and your first here at Martinsville Speedway. That has to be special.
It is, and the 2 wins this year have both come at tracks that I haven't won at before, and we haven't won at as a team before. So certainly that feels really good to be able to check some off the list, and with everything else that goes into today, there seemed to be a lot of numerology today with this being the Team Penske 1,000 start here in this series, and it's been a long time since Ford won here. I can't remember how long, but 02. So a lot of numbers stacking up, and I felt like they were stacking up in our favor, because we've been coming here for the last probably 2 or 3 seasons, and running up front, running in the lead, and leading laps, and kind of being in that top 2 or 3 in the critical stages of the race, and different things kept happening where it didn't come together, which is so frustrating. But it felt like we were due, and if you ever can be, this is probably one of those tracks, and today was one of those days where we persevered in a special way with the battle there at Kyle at the end. I thought was a lot of fun to be a part of. Hopefully it was a lot of fun to watch, and kind of harkens back to the legacy of this sport on short tracks, and why this track has been around for 70-some years because of battles like that. So very special for a lot of reasons. This is one I'm never going to forget, and going to be thankful for a long time. And 1 clock's nice, of course, but I'd like to have another later down the road when we come back here in the fall. And winning at another track we hadn't won at before is great. We still got to win at RP's home track and my home track here in Michigan. I haven't won that one. Either that one would be really special. So we're doing the things we need to do here early in the season. We've had pretty strong speed, running up front, leading laps, and a lot to be proud of today, and really for the duration of the season that we've had so far. We just want to keep going.
Okay, we're going to go to Andy, then to Jeff, and then to Drew.
Andy Markey, Popular Speed. This is for Roger and for Brad. It was a little bit of deja vu. Roger, you mentioned earlier the 2004 race, which was run by Rusty Wallace's last win. Did you get that feeling of deja vu? Because when Brad was racing with Kyle Busch, it was an 18 car that Rusty Wallace beat for that win. And Brad, you being a short track guy and having cut your teeth on the short tracks out at Michigan and in ARCA, what's this win at NASCAR's oldest track mean to you, being such a fan of the history of the sport?
Well, I don't think I remember the 18. I remembered that the 2 of Rusty won, and he did a great job for us. In fact, we built the team around his success. But it's amazing when every time you win a race, it sets a stat and a metric that maybe you haven't had, and we just continue as a team to pull together, and the competitive juices around this garage area are just tremendous to see. The young guys out there, the 24 and the 42, just to mention a couple of them. I mean, these guys they're on it, and to me, that's what's making the sport so exciting. And to me, Brad has been, such a key part of the success of this team when he came on board. And of obviously talked to Joey to come on board, and Paul and Todd Gordon, and the whole team, and the sponsors we have stayed with us. So continuity and low turnovers made a big difference.
We're going to go next.
No,
sorry. Go ahead, Brad.
I think he had a second part. Didn't you have a second part?
Yeah, my question for you, Brad, was, you're such a fan of the history of the sport, and having cut your teeth on the short tracks, really coming up the hard way into the sport, having to run the short tracks in ARCA for many, many years. What's it mean to you to take home the grandfather clock, one of the historic trophies of NASCAR racing?
Yeah, short tracks, they built the sport. You look at the sport as it is today, and this is, I think it's the oldest track on the circuit. It was in 1948, I believe, and yeah, it's been 70 years. So, it's the legacy of this sport is attached to tracks like Martinsville, and so I think that makes them special places. And for me, of course, you want to win everywhere you go. You wouldn't be a competitor if you didn't feel that way. But there is something, extra that is added when you win at tracks that are tied to the legacy of the sport, tied to the legacy of NASCAR. So even the trophy itself has some special meaning. I know it's made back in my home state of Michigan, and that's something I'm going to take back and be real proud of. I don't like to keep trophies at my house. This one's going at my house. I can tell you that's how special it is. So I'm looking forward to bringing that one home and hoping I can add a few more clocks along the way.
Okay, we're going to go next to Jeff, then to Drew, then to Bob, then to Nick, and then to Chase.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com for Brad. I just watched this video here. Apparently you went into the stands afterwards, and I don't recall you doing that before. And especially here, I don't know that you get the best reaction before the race. So these are probably some of the same people. What prompted you to go into the stands and celebrate?
Just, Martinsville's a special place, like I said, and there's special fans here that this might not be the track where I get the loudest cheers, but that's okay. That's part of what makes the sport go around too, Jeff. And I just felt really good about it. I just saw a couple of people that I knew up in the grandstands. I had some extra friends and family here today, and I wanted to say hey to them, and a couple of fans that have been coming to this race for a long time of mine, and I saw them up there and just thought it was worth saying hey.
Drew?
Brad, Drew Davison with the Forest Star Telegram. Kyle parlayed this win last year into win at Texas. You feel pretty good about your chances of getting another first next week?
Yeah, Texas has been a track very similar to Martinsville for us, where we've led a lot of laps and been up front, and I've made some mistakes at the end and haven't brought it home. But I think the way we're rolling right now, we can win anywhere, and that's something that we're certainly going to carry into next week. It'll be a bit of a wild card, of course, with the new asphalt. I don't know if anyone knows what to expect, but I think it's supposed to be designed with a lot of similarities to Kentucky, which of course we were able to win last summer. So that feels pretty good.
Go next to Bob, and then to Nick.
Bob Hockers, ESPN. Brad, I mean, nothing against Brian Wilson, but do you win this race if Paul Wolfe isn't here?
Oh, who knows? I ain't thinking about that. I'm just glad I got a checkered flag and a clock.
What type of impact does the crew chief have at Martinsville?
I mean, a crew chief's important everywhere you go. That I can't think of a track where it doesn't matter. He made a lot of calls and adjustments there at the end. I don't know what they are, but I felt like I was faster at the end. So I'll give him the credit and say that was good.
Okay.
It might not have changed anything as far as I know.
We're going to go next to Nick, and then we are going to go to Chase.
Nick Bromberg, Yahoo Sports. Brad, I'm kind of hiding back here behind the camera. Anyway, going back to the speeding penalty you had at the beginning, you said, I think, on the radio afterwards, you thought you were in the clear in that section, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
How do you, with the timing lines being closer, and I know you and Paul have done a great job previously of maximizing your speed in those zones, how do you sit there and change what you guys do and what you do as a driver, now knowing that, hey, even if I think I'm comfortable, I may get a penalty? It seems like somebody says that every single week.
Yeah, you're right. And it's very frustrating. I had this lofty goal before the season started to go a whole season without a speeding penalty. And There's a very lot, because every time I get a speeding penalty, I get a not so subtle reminder from someone the next week, and I really hate that phone call. So I had that lofty goal going into the year, and when I got the speeding penalty, I was really disappointed. And so, you know, there's nothing you can do other than just slow down. It's frustrating because, you know, there's so many variables. You know, the radiuses and the corners and the engines, they're surging up and down on RPM, so you're trying to kind of steady it out, and you got traffic, you got all these different things going on, and so of course you don't have a pit road speed limiter, and the dash has a lot of lag to it, so you add in all these variables, and then you kind of combine that with the competitive element that exists on pit road, where every car length can make a difference between literally winning or losing this race. And it puts you in a position where you're just forced. You're forced to live on the edge. And no matter who you are and what you do, when you live on the edge, you're going to step over. You're going to fall off. And I think in a lot of ways that's what this sport is about. This sport is about living as close to the edge as you can without going too far, without falling over. And knowing that when you do that for a living, that there's going to be those moments where something happens where you go over and you have to recover from it. And that's really what defines greatness in the most basic concept of this sport. And when you look at guys like Jimmy Johnson and their ability to win 7 championships, that's what they do so well. So we were able to overcome it today, and that's a testament to Paul and the team's work to give us an excellent car and the patience to be able to get through traffic and not get caught up in somebody else's, you know, ordeal. So I'm proud of that, but you're not always going to get away with that for sure. So it's part of it, but not always the fun part.
Okay, we're going to go upstairs to the press box, then we're going to go to Dustin, then to Jacob.
Chris Knight, CatchFence.com. Brad, last night you said on Twitter that you couldn't sleep because you were so excited about today. So I was just wondering if you did get any sleep and what made you more excited over any other prior Martinsville race.
You know, sometimes you just go to races time over time, and you know you've ran so well here, and you just know that it's eventually going to come together. And it can't. I mean, it can't not come together. You know, you look at even guys like Dale when he ran Daytona for so long, and he led and had all those opportunities, and things just went wrong for him. You knew eventually he was going to win it. And you know, I think that's how race car drivers feel, that if they keep doing the right thing time over time, that eventually they'll get the results. I feel like our team has done the right thing time over time here at Martinsville, and we hadn't got the result. And we knew eventually we could. We showed great speed in practice, and I was really happy with the way the car was driving, and I felt pretty confident coming into today. And, of course, it showcased in the race.
Go next to Dustin, then to Jacob.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Brad, you briefly mentioned the battle with Kyle with about 50 to go. Obviously, that type of that close racing is, as you talked about, what you know people come to see. But
did it look cool?
It looked cool.
It felt pretty cool in the car.
Yeah. Were you able to be patient? I understand it wasn't with 10 laps to go. You treat that situation differently. But were you able to be patient? Why? Did you feel like you saw Kyle's car not handling as well and you could wait him out, or were you trying to pressure him, or can you kind of give me your mindset on what?
I can't give away all the tricks, Dustin.
Well, how about a few?
A few? You know, I was confident that we could come out in front. We had passed Kyle earlier in the race. We had showcased a lot of speed in I think it was the second segment where we drove from 20th to 3rd, and we had started to run him down. And I felt like, you know, if I just gave it some time, that it would come our way, and it did.
Next to Jacob.
Jacob Seelman, Performance Motorsports Network. I've got 2 for you, Brad, and I'll start by kind of following up with what Dustin was talking about, the battle between you and Kyle. I actually asked Kyle about this earlier. You two just, it seems like the last couple weeks since the season started, haven't been able to get away from each other, whether it's Xfinity or Cup. You've been, you know, I don't want to say at each other's throats, but you guys have been battling really, really hard every series, everywhere we've gone. For somebody like him who you've battled with, and you know, you said yourself in a column a year or so ago on your website, I've kind of had a rivalry with before. Does somebody like Kyle push you to be better? And you know, how does that work for you when you guys are just scrapping and trying to one-up each other all the time?
Yeah, there's definitely some gamesmanship there. And, look, Kyle's one of the best race car drivers out there. He's driving for one of the best teams. And, he's going to be someone that I'm going to have to beat for my entire career if we're going to win races and championships. I know that. And it's not something that I feel bad about. I feel good about it. I want to race guys that are great. And I think the team wants to compete against teams that are great. That's what makes this series special. That's what makes it the series that it is. And then I would still hold fast and say that there is no other sport or series out there that has the degree of competition and the depth to have to beat. And so that's what makes winning matter for me. That's what makes it special. I don't want this to be easy. I want to go back home tonight. I'm going to fall in my bed. I'm going to be tired because I worked my butt off, and I used every move I had in my head, and then some. Came up with a few on the racetrack as we were on the fly, and that's what makes it mean something to me. And I think that hopefully he feels the same way when the shoes are reversed. But I thought we raced each other really well. There were a couple, light taps, but that's short track racing, and I think that's a good thing. That's what it should be, and we were able to really navigate the track well together.
You were talking earlier, too, a little bit about how special this day is, all the different layers to it. Roger's 1,000th race, you finally getting to take one of those clocks home. But even, too, I felt like there was a little layer of redemption, because I remember you saying last fall when you finished second to Johnson, I just want a clock. Did you feel like
finally
you were
got one.
Yeah. Did you feel like you were able to redeem that coming so close last year?
No, you never get those losses back. They don't ever come back. I'll probably remember that one equally as I'll remember this win today. That's the nature of a competitor. But I'm still very proud to have this one, and still driven as ever to get another win here in the future. So it'll be hard to forget this one. This is a special day.
Come up front here to Mike.
Mike Hembry, USA Today. Roger Brad's won twice now. Hendrick and Gibbs haven't won a race. Are you taking the sport over pretty much?
I'm glad that one's for you.
That's a quick answer. The answer is no. We're just we're delighted to see the fast start, but you saw the ability in the cars and the drivers from both those teams. They set the standard day in and day out. I think that Paul and the team and Travis and Mike Nelson and the guys back at the shop have just done a terrific job, and not to mention the Roush 8's power. They've just really stepped it up. So look, I think we're very competitive right now, but you look at the 42, how strong he was the last couple of weeks. It's handling and it's power and it's course driving, and I'm sure they were there today, and Brad took it away from them, and I hope we can continue to do that. But I certainly don't think they're out of the mix at all. They might look like it for a moment, but I have the highest regard for those guys.
Go next to Bob.
Bob Hawkers, ESPN. Brad, I don't know if you saw what happened at the end of the second stage when Stenhouse bumped. He got Kyle Busch loose so that he could stay on the lead lap, and Kyle ended up losing this stage to Chase. And I'm curious if you think you'll see more and more of those type of moves at the end of stages as people start kind of knowing what their points position and playoff position are closer to Richmond.
I mean, that was kind of the intent, I think, having sat in those meetings, maybe not for that specific move, but in general, was for there to be more moments that mattered, more moments that make the Sports Center highlight reel. And I haven't seen Sports Center. You're an ESPN guy, so I use Sports Center. If you're an NBC guy, I'd use NASCAR America. But I haven't seen Sports Center. But if they don't put that moment in there, damn sure they missed something. I can tell you that, because that was a key moment in the race, and it'll be a key moment in the season as we get into the playoffs. But that's what this format's supposed to be about, is having moments like that. Whether you agree with specific moves is really neither here nor there. But when you put things on the line, when you put more on the line throughout the race, you get more moments like that. And I think in the end, the fans win and the sports win, and the sport wins.
Something tells me, gentlemen, that we'll see that plenty of times on FS1's Race Hub as well.
Sorry. I didn't see the Fox guy here.
Anyway, congratulations on the victory today, and good luck next week in Texas.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.